the first thing I noticed wasn't the car. It was her eyes. Eleanor stood by the garage like she had been there a while, her arms folded loosely, not impatient, not angry, just waiting. The late afternoon light softened everything around her, but not the quiet urgency in her voice when she said, "Get in my car, we're going somewhere private." I laughed at first, because that's what you do when something unexpected interrupts an ordinary day. I had just stepped out with a bag of groceries, thinking about nothing more serious than what to cook for dinner. My roommate, Daniel, was still at work. His house felt like mine these days, safe, predictable. Eleanor didn't laugh back. She just looked at me, steady and calm, and somehow that made the moment feel heavier than it should have. "I'm serious, Oliver," she said gently. "Please." Something in the way she said please, not dramatic, not desperate, just sincere, made me stop questioning and start listening. I set the groceries down on the porch and walked toward her. The garage door was half open, her small silver car parked just outside. It wasn't anything special, but it looked clean, cared for, like her. Eleanor had always been that way. Thoughtful. Quietly attentive. The kind of person who remembered things others forgot. I opened the passenger door and got in. The seat was warm from the sun. For a moment, neither of us spoke as she got behind the wheel and started the engine. The soft hum filled the silence, and I realized I had no idea where we were going, or why. "You're scaring me a little," I admitted, trying to keep my tone light. She glanced at me briefly, then back at the road. "I don't mean to." "Then maybe tell me what's going on." "I will," she said. "Just, give me a few minutes." We pulled away from the house, the familiar street slipping behind us. I watched as we passed the corner cafe, the park where Daniel and I sometimes went jogging, the bus stop where everything in life always seemed normal. But this didn't feel normal. Not in a bad way. Just, different. Eleanor drove quietly, her hands steady on the wheel. There was something purposeful in the way she moved, like she had thought this through carefully. After about 10 minutes, we turned onto a quieter road lined with trees. Sunlight filtered through the branches, casting soft patterns across the windshield. She finally spoke. "Do you remember the first time we met?" she asked. I blinked, caught off guard by the question. Yeah. Daniel introduced us. "You brought over that homemade pie." A small smile touched her lips. "Apple and cinnamon." "It was good," I said. "Really good." "You looked tired that day," she said. I frowned slightly. I probably was. "Work's been, well, you know." She nodded. "I do know." Her tone made me shift in my seat. "What does that mean?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she slowed the car and pulled into a small parking area near a quiet overlook. The kind of place people didn't come to unless they wanted to think. She turned off the engine. The world went still. Birds in the distance. Leaves rustling softly. The kind of quiet that makes you hear your own thoughts louder. Eleanor turned toward me fully now. "I've been watching you," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "That sounds slightly concerning." She smiled faintly. Not in a strange way. Just, paying attention. I didn't interrupt. "You always smile," she continued. "You always say you're fine. You help Daniel, you help everyone. You never complain." I shrugged. "That's not exactly a crime." "No," she said softly. "But sometimes it's a mask." Her words landed more precisely than I expected. I looked away, out at the view. "You brought me out here to tell me I smile too much?" "I brought you here," she said gently, "because I think you're carrying something you don't talk about." I let out a small breath, somewhere between a laugh and a sigh. "That's a bold assumption. Is it wrong?" I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know how to answer. Or maybe I did. And that was the problem. Eleanor didn't push. She just waited, the same way she had by the garage. Calm. Patient. Present. It's strange how silence can feel like pressure and comfort at the same time. I'm fine, I said eventually, but the words felt weaker than usual. She nodded, but her eyes didn't agree. You're allowed to not be. I swallowed. No one had said that to me in a long time. I don't even know where I'd start, I admitted quietly. Anywhere, she said. I leaned back in the seat, staring up at the fading sky. It's nothing dramatic. No big tragedy. Just, life, I guess. That counts, she said. I rubbed my hands together, unsure why they suddenly felt restless. Work's been rough. Not in a terrible way, just constant. Like I'm always trying to keep up, and no matter how much I do, it's never enough. She listened without interrupting. And then there's everything else, I continued. Trying to be a good friend, a good son, a good everything. It's like there's this invisible checklist, and I'm always behind on it. That sounds exhausting, she said softly. I laughed quietly. Yeah. It is. For a moment, I just sat there, letting the honesty settle in. I didn't even realize how tired I was until you said something, I admitted. She nodded. Sometimes we get so used to carrying things, we forget what it feels like to put them down. I looked at her. So, what? You kidnapped me for a pep talk? She smiled, a little more warmly this time. Not exactly. She reached into the back seat and pulled out a small paper bag. I made sandwiches, she said. And tea. I stared at her. You planned this. Of course I did. I couldn't help it, I laughed, genuinely this time. This is the most polite intervention I've ever experienced. I wasn't trying to intervene, she said. I just wanted you to have a moment where you didn't have to be everything for everyone else. She handed me a cup of tea. It was still warm. I took it, feeling something shift inside me, something small, but real. We sat there, eating simple sandwiches and sipping tea, watching the sky slowly change colors. No rush. No expectations. Just, being. After a while, I spoke again. Why do you care? I asked quietly. It wasn't a challenge. It was a genuine question. Eleanor looked out at the horizon before answering. Because I've been there, she said. Smiling when I was overwhelmed. Saying I was fine when I wasn't. Waiting for someone to notice, and sometimes they didn't. I listened closely. And one day, she continued, someone did notice. They didn't fix everything. They didn't have all the answers. But they sat with me. They listened. And it reminded me that I didn't have to carry everything alone. She looked back at me. I guess I wanted to do that for someone else. I felt a tightness in my chest that had nothing to do with stress. That's a really kind thing to do, I said. It's a necessary thing to do, she corrected gently. We sat in silence again, but it felt different now. Lighter. I don't think I've said this out loud before, I admitted. But sometimes I feel like if I slow down, everything will fall apart. It won't, she said. How do you know? Because you're not the only thing holding it together, she replied. And even if something does shift, it doesn't mean it's broken. It might just mean it's changing. I thought about that. Really thought about it. Maybe I had been gripping everything too tightly. Trying to control things that weren't meant to be controlled. You're allowed to rest, Oliver, she said. You're allowed to have days where you're not at your best. That doesn't make you less. It makes you human. The word human felt strangely comforting. Not perfect. Not constant. Just, real. Thank you, I said quietly. For what? For noticing. She smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. You're welcome. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in soft shades of gold and orange. For the first time in a long while, I felt still. Not stuck. Not overwhelmed. Just present. We eventually got back in the car and drove home. The streets looked the same, but something in me had shifted. When we pulled into the driveway, the groceries were still on the porch where I had left them. Life hadn't fallen apart. Nothing had broken. Eleanor turned off the engine and looked at me. You don't have to fix everything tonight, she said. Or tomorrow. I nodded. I think. I needed to hear that. She opened her door. Good. As we stepped out of the car, the evening air felt softer somehow. I picked up the groceries, but I didn't feel the same weight as before. Not because my problems were gone. But because I wasn't carrying them alone anymore. Before heading inside, I turned to her. Hey, Eleanor. Yeah? If you ever need someone to sit with you like that. I'm here. She smiled. I know. And for the first time in a long time, I believed that connections like this, quiet, simple, genuine, were what held everything together. Not perfection. Not constant effort. But people. People who notice. People who care. People who remind you that even on your heaviest days, you don't have to carry the world by yourself. And sometimes, all it takes is someone waiting by a garage, asking you to get in the car, and showing you that it's okay to pause, to breathe, and to begin again.